controversy surrounding the 2026 BAFTA Film Awards, in which John Davidson, whose life with Tourette's inspired a film Swear, involuntarily vocalised a racial slur during the ceremony, thus generating predictable outrage. Social media rapidly framed the incident as an outburst implying intent. The assumption of agency was immediate. Yet Tourette syndrome involves involuntary vocalizations, particularly in cases involving coprolalia. Uttering socially taboo words is not a sign of personal belief, but a neurological compulsion. Coprolalia occurs in approximately 10 to 15% of people with Tourette's and involves the brain's failure to suppress socially inappropriate utterances. The individual has no control over the content. The words that emerge are often those that with the most shock value, precisely because the brain's suppression mechanism has misfired. This episode offers a useful case study in how capitalist society understands and misunderstands responsibility. Capitalism rests heavily on the idea of individual responsibility. Workers are treated as autonomous units of labour power, assumed to be rational, self-regulating and fully in control of their conduct. Discipline in speech and behaviour is expected as part of employability and public legitimacy. Where agency is compromised through illness, disability or neurological variation, this framework strains. Instead of adjusting its assumptions, society often reasserts them more harshly. This presumption of intent remains, even where medical explanation is well documented. This reveals a contradiction. Where an individual is able to conform, their conformity is praised as a personal virtue. When they cannot, their difference is interpreted as a moral failure. Modern capitalism places significant emphasis on regulated language. Public speech is increasingly scrutinized, not only in workplaces but in cultural life. While there are good reasons to challenge genuinely racist or abusive expressions, the framework often operates without regard to material context. This is not an argument against challenging racist behaviour. When somebody with full agency chooses to use slurs, that reveals values and deserves opposition. The point is that agency itself must be established before moral judgment is applied. Treating involuntary and deliberate speech identically serves neither anti-racism nor disability justice. The Davidson incident illustrates this tension. A word can be socially harmful in its historical weight and impact, but responsibility cannot be abstracted from agency. To treat involuntary neurological discharge as deliberate prejudice collapses an important distinction. Capitalist society frequently commodifies inspirational narratives of disability. Films, awards, ceremonies, and media profiles celebrate individuals overcoming adversity. Yet this celebration is conditional. It assumes the disability can be packaged into palatable form. When the unfiltered reality appears, tolerance evaporates. The disabled individual is accepted only so long as they remain manageable. Outrage is a commodity. The rapid reaction online was not incidental. Social media platforms reward immediacy, and emotional intensity speed outruns verification. The platforms profit from engagement regardless of accuracy. A nuanced explanation of Tourette's generates less interaction than moral outrage, an economic incentive towards simplification and condemnation, not towards understanding and material reality of neurological conditions. Under these conditions, moral judgment becomes performative. Expressing indignation is easier than examining neurological evidence. The result is a form of gotcha politics that prioritizes signaling over understanding. The paradox of inspiration. Davidson's presence at BAFTAs was in itself a product of inspirational narrative. His life overcoming Tourette's packaged as a cultural uplift. But inspiration requires disability to be sanitized, controlled, presented as a triumph over adversity. The moment Tourette's manifested, as it actually does, involuntarily, inconveniently, in a way that cannot be neatly celebrated, the sympathy fractured. This reveals what capitalism often means by acceptance. The disability must perform their difference in ways that affirm rather than challenge existing norms. Responsibility reconsidered. A socialist analysis does not abandon the concept of harm. Words carry histories. Their impact is real, but an equitable response requires proportionality and context. If an action is involuntary, then moral condemnation is misdirected. The deeper issue is the rigidity of a society that demands uniform neurological performance in public life. When responsibility is defined without regard to material capacity, it ceases to be rational and becomes punitive. The BAFTA incident reveals a system that confuses control with virtue and compliance with morality. It treats neurological difference as a character defect and involuntary behaviour as a moral choice. A materialist analysis rejects this confusion and demands that responsibility be matched to actual agency, not a capitalist fantasy of the self-regulating individual. That was Pablo, Agency and Responsibility, in April 2026 of the Socialist Standard.
You have been listening to World Socialist Radio, produced by the Socialist Party of Great Britain. If you would like to find out more, you can visit our website, spgb.net.